Hey, good evening, everybody. So last week I got an opportunity to take something called the Privilege Walk. And basically, what that walk is, I'll just read it to you. So it says the typical classroom version of this activity involves between 10 to 40 participants. In my case, we had like 80 in our AVID training. But throughout the privilege walk, the following statements are read by the facilitator, and the participants are asked to take a step forward or backward based on their responses. And this activity forces participants to confront the ways in which society privileges some individuals over others. And it is designed to get participants to reflect on the different areas in their lives where they have privileges as well as the areas where they don't. So, some of the questions, and I won't read out the questions because it's like 32 questions, but I'll just read some of these. So, everybody first, we're all in a line, all aligned at the same, at the same place. But as you start answering these questions, you need to take a step forward, a step back. So, such questions as if your ancestors were forced to come to the USA not by choice, take one step back. If your primary ethnic identity is American, take one step forward. If you were ever called names because of your race, class, ethnicity, gender, or sexual orientation, take one step back. If there were more than 50 books in your house when you grew up, take one step forward. If you ever tried to change your appearance, mannerisms, or behavior to avoid being judged or ridiculed, take one step back. If you have health insurance, take one step forward. If you attended private school or summer camp, take one step forward. If your family ever had to move because they could not afford the rent, take one step back. So it's these kind of questions that are being asked of all of my colleagues. And so it was very interesting at the end of this exercise. Some people were very emotional. So the people that were up front, they kind of felt guilty because, they realized how privileged they have been. The people that were in the back, some were emotional, tearing up, just very, you could tell they were just in their minds recalling all the things that they had been through, different struggles. For myself, and I will tell you this, guess where I ended up at? I was like second to last. I was like way in the back. And at first I couldn't believe it because I was like, hey, has life been that rough or hard or tough or, really? I never thought about that. So all I want to say to you out there is that even though you may appear to be dead last all the time, your 28 steps to someone else making their 3 steps, it's always harder for you. You always got to go the extra mile. You always have obstacles to overcome. That was me, and I didn't realize it until I took this exercise, until I participated. And I reflected, and I was just like, wow. I wasn't emotional. I didn't tear up, but I was just like, wow. Look at all of what I have had to motivate myself to do through and overcome. Many of you may not know, I grew up in a hood where there was drug needles in the backyard where I was playing. There was crackheads. There was gangs that was, on the block or the next block, different sets and different things. So it is what it is as far as what your life is, but you have a choice. Once you get to a point, when you're a kid, of course, you don't have a choice. But once you become an adult, you have choices that you can make to make a total 360 or 180 or whatever you want to call it. People have these different perceptions of a 360 ending up back at the same place, or you make a 180 because now you have evolved to another spot. Whichever way you want to look at it, I love it. But the choice is always yours. So never ever get stuck in your mind to think that you are not worthy to sit at the king's table. And I'm sorry I won't apologize for thinking spiritually, but I thought about I thought about something spiritual as far as, eating at the king's table, and only kings were able to eat certain foods, and they don't, had meat. And if you were lucky enough to eat the crumbs that fell from the king's table, then, you considered yourself lucky. But to sit at the table, you were a social elite. You were in a certain class. But guess what? Me, Ronita, that was like second to dead last, way, way, way in the back, we're at the same place. We're at the same job. We do the same things. And even though maybe I had to take extra steps, maybe though I had to do some extra things which were required of me, it was just about the mindset. I'm not stuck where I'm at. I just got to make extra steps. So make those extra steps. Yes, it gets hard. Yes, it gets frustrating. Yes, you want to feel like you want to quit. Yeah, you ask yourself some days, is it worth it? But just cut out your own niche. Cut out your own square, and wherever it is that you want to be, that you need to be, and that when others are looking at you, then they too can be like, you know what? She did it. He did it. They're doing it. Why can't I do it? Just go and do it. So that is my motivation for the week. As the week ends, I pray that you get plenty of rest. It has been a very, very long week for myself, but now it's time to, I'm still gonna be working, but it's time to it's time to get just a little bit of rest. And that's another thing that I'm gonna talk about in another message. I had an epiphany about rest, about eternal rest, but also about the physical rest that we get in this room. So stay tuned for the next message on that, because that's rest is needed. Rest is required. We're not designed to go 24 hours. We're just not. So anyway, God bless.